Hey guys, welcome to the Daily Word Bible Study, a plain and simple book by book, chapter by chapter, and verse by verse study through the entire Bible. Currently, we are in the prophecy of Ezekiel, and we just began this study, so it's because it's going to be a long study. Because again, I think it's some 50 chapters, um, but Ezekiel's going to be a little different. This prophecy has a lot of revelation stuff in here. And when I say stuff, you're going to see first chapter, we're going to jump off into some stuff that revelation about stuff you're like, what? Wow. Creatures, um, all kinds of stuff. Okay. Um, Ezekiel, and what's interesting is that Ezekiel and Daniel are both exile, exiles in Babylon. You know, as we get to when we get to Daniel, we'll see he's more in the government, so he lives a more elitist life, and Ezekiel lives more common life among the people in exile. And again, it you know, if you're going to be in exile, at least this is the way it would be. Now, God had already promised him that to those who surrender. This exile is for 70 years. However, life for Israel has forever changed, so that um, even after the 7 years, only a fraction of the people will return to Jerusalem, just a fraction. Somewhere around the neighborhood of 50,000 people. So they won't even fill the city limits. But anyway, um, but um, the so the prophecies are going to center around, in a sense, Israel in their present state, and then the future. So we're going to have the famous Valley of the Dry Bones. Can't wait to get to that one. But these are all prophecies of God's plan and purpose for the nation of Israel. It is also prophecies that is concurrent with what is going on presently, in terms of timeline, presently in Jerusalem. So remember, Ezekiel is one of the second round of deportations. The siege is still going on in Jerusalem. So if you compare that to what you go back and read Jeremiah, well, the time frame is about the same in Ezekiel, except from Ezekiel's perspective, he's in another nation. He's away. So it'd be like us saying, okay, well, we're here in America, and then we get deported to another nation across, like Africa or Europe, something like that. So there could be stink going on still in America, but now we are away and we're hearing about it from, let's say from across the pond. So Ezekiel and them, they would get reports from time to time because one, people are being deported. People would come and say, hey, this is what's going on back in the homeland. And then at some point, we're going to see that they will get the news of the fall of Jerusalem with the complete destruction. So there's kind of two things that's going on with Ezekiel. What's going on presently, selling life here as an exile, and then also the prophecies of God's future planned for Israel. All right, so let's get into it. Let's see if all right. For some reason, I've been having problems, I said before, and I was using my chart here to kind of give you kind of a timeline here of what's going on in Israel. But let's get to the prophecy itself. I'm going to go back to verse 1. He says, in the 30th year, in the 4th month, on the 5th day of the month, while I was among the exiles by Shebar, Chibar Canal, okay, the heavens opened, and I saw in a vision of God on the 5th day of the month. It was the 5th year of the king Jehoiakim exile. Now let me see if I can find Jehoiakim's exile. Okay, right here. So Jehoiakim, right? 597 BC. So remember, he gets exiled, and then um, Zedekiah reigned for the next 11 years before he is exiled and executed. So at this point right here, we're down to what, 593, uh, and so right around here, 593. Okay, um, because he says he was in the 5th year. So Jehoiakim is exiled. Okay, so anyway, that gives you the time frame here. Um, let's see, where am I at here? So, verse 4. Now, again, I want to, so let me go back because I'm kind of getting all over the place here. I'm collecting my thoughts here. So, in the 13th year, in the 14th month, now the 30th year. Now, I don't know what the 30th year is, by the way. I don't know what he's counting. The 30th year on the 4th month. So, all right, let's move on. Um, verse 4 says, I looked and there was a whirlwind coming from the north, a great cloud with fire flashing back and forth and brilliant light all around it. In the center of the fire, there was a gleam like amber. Now stop. So right here, we're going to jump off into some heavy revelation. Okay, some heavy revelations that Ezekiel is seeing, that God is revealing to Ezekiel. He says, verse 4, the form of 4 living creatures came from it, and this was their appearance. They had a human form, but each of them had 4 faces and 4 rings. Their rings were straight, and the soles of their feet were like hooves of a calf, sparkling like the gleam of polished bronze. They had human hands under their wings, and on their 4 sides, all 4 of them had faces of wings. The rings were touching. The creatures did not turn as they moved. Each one went straight ahead. The form of each of their faces was that of a man, and each of the 4 had a face of a lion on the right, face of an ox on the left, face of an eagle. That is what their faces were like. Their wings were spread upward. Each had 2 wings touching that of another, and 2 wings covering its body. Each creature went straight ahead. Whenever the Spirit wanted them to go, they went without turning as they moved. All right. No, I don't know what the heck this looked like is, right? And this could be the seraphims that were described in Isaiah. Let me take a little time here and kind of go back. Let me see if I can find them here. Because we see these creatures, throughout, and I'm going to show them briefly here. Let me change over my translations here. All right. Where did that? Here we go. All right. So let's go to Isaiah. Isaiah. Forgive me for being slow today because I'm trying to process a lot right here. And let's see. Here we go. In Isaiah chapter 6, he says, "In the year the king Uzziah died, I saw the Lord sitting on a high and lofty throne, and his robe filled the temple. Seraphims were standing above him. Each one had 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, and with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. And one called to another, Holy, 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 the Lord of hosts. His glory fills the whole earth." So we see this example, and they are named seraphims here. Now, I don't know if this is the same creature. Now, because there could be many kinds of creatures here. When we talk about heavenly visions or revelations of what heaven is, right? Always keep this in mind. We only get glimpses. We only get glimpses. That we don't get. We don't get details, and that's important to realize. Now, I know that there are people that claim to have revelation. They claim to have all kinds of visions and stuff. Let me just say this: they're liars. But we get a glimpse here. So in Revelation chapter 4, it says, I'll start reading at verse 2. So this is the Apostle John. "Immediately I was in the Spirit, and the throne was set, and the throne was set there in heaven, one seated on the throne, and one seated. Then the one seated looked like a jasper, carnelian stone. A rainbow that looked like an emerald surrounded the throne, and around that throne were 24 thrones, and on the thrones sat 24 elders dressed in white robes, with a gold crown on their heads. Flashes of lightning and rumblings of thunders came from the throne. 7 fiery torches were burning before the throne, which are the 7 spirits of God. Something like a sea of glass, similar to crystal, was also before the throne. Now get this: 4 living creatures covered their eyes in the front and in the back, were in the middle and all around. The first creature was like a lion. The second creature was like a calf. And the third living creature had a face like a man. And the fourth living creature was like a flying eagle. Each of the 4 living creatures had 6 wings, and they were covered with eyes all around and inside. Day and night they never stopped saying, Holy, 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 Lord God Almighty, who was, who is, and who is to come. Now, so back to Ephesians. By the way, this is not going to be the first time he's going to mention these creatures a couple of more times in this book right here. And the point I wanted to say is, I don't know if these are 3 different kinds of strange looking creatures, or are they the same with different descriptions. It certainly seemed like Isaiah in the one in Isaiah, the description of the seraphims in Isaiah and in the Revelation are the same. Because again, we're going to get to another description later on about a wheel, and I'm going to wait till we get that. In fact, I think it's coming down here. The point I just wanted to make here is, when it comes to heavenly things, heavenly creatures, remember, we don't have even a fraction of what is there. We probably will not know until we get to heaven. And I think that's important, because as curious as I am, and I can have to resent the curiosity of adding to what the Bible says is there and is not there. And I say that because there are people who write books about going to heaven. They write books about what they see, and they sell millions. And if you stop and you think about it, I could write a book about heaven or hell. The format is already set. Heaven is bad. I mean, good. Hell is bad. And I wouldn't cross the two up. So I wouldn't write about heaven and saying that I got carjacked in heaven. So obviously, I'm going to write and go, yeah, the Spirit took me up out of my body, and I was standing there, and Jesus came upon me, and he kind of hugged me, put his arm around me, and says, "Welcome, son. Let me show you around heaven." And all of a sudden, the atmosphere was just glowing and saturated with goodness and peace and joy. And I saw all of my loved ones who went to heaven. I saw even some of the old saints. There's Paul, Ezekiel, look, Moses, right? And we just, hey guys, hey, how you doing? And they just kind of gave me the thumbs up as Jesus was giving me the tour. And man, as I came to this long, glorious, sparkling crystal river, and God says, "Go down, take a sip." And I went down and took a sip, and man, it was like my skin glowed. It's like, Lord, what is this? Oh man, it's this life. And then I went to another. He's like, "Oh, there's trees in heaven." And then I was like, "Oh God, wait a minute, trees?" And yeah, take a bite of the fruit. And when I took a bite of the fruit, it seemed like, man, I digressed in age. And like, God, what is this? Like the tree of life. And then I just went around a different heaven. He go, "Oh, wait a minute, you're gonna love this, Lynn. Let me show you your mansion." Okay, so if you think that you, again, my point is, I just made that up. But I guarantee you, I could make that up, and I could get on the Sid Roth show, 700 Club, all of the Daystar, TBN, right? Victory Channel, all these other things. I can get on there and sell my books, right, on a made up story, because that's what they do. And then then I can say, wait about another year after I make some money off of that book, and I come back and I go, "Oh man, I bought a book and I went to hell. God put me up out of my spirit." He says, "Now, son, I want to show you hell, because I want you to come back and I want you to warn the people not to go to this terrible place." I go down in hell and I see fire. Oh, the fire with intense heat. And I saw the souls screaming in hell. And they were screaming, "Have mercy on me, Lord, have mercy." And as we walked through hell, Jesus was like, "Don't pay attention to them. Don't pay attention to them. They're doomed." And he was like, "They're reaching out, touch me." And I went by, a hand touched my thing right here. "Help me, help me, help me, God." And Jesus went back and slapped his hand away, and we kept walking. Now, I mean, but think about it. I could make that up, sell it again, millions of copies, right? Because that's what they do. These books claiming that they went to hell, the visions and stuff, they're all made up. And of course, if you read books like Ezekiel and stuff, you get the format, you get the imagery of how you can make up heaven. And some even go worse, like I said. And by the way, that's a kind of composite of a lot of the stories of heaven and hell that I've heard, where they went to hell or they went to heaven, and they, like I said, you can just make it up because it's all good. It's just simply all good. And but again, we have glimpses of heaven. We have glimpses, and we don't have detail. One of the telltale signs of people who are making up these visions is the more detail they give. That's how you almost a telltale sign, because God doesn't give us that many details. We get a glimpse, but not that many details. But these creatures that Ezekiel have saw, and that's it. I don't know if they are. I don't know if they're the same creatures or if they're different, because they could be different creatures. They could be three different kinds. There literally could be there are like millions of different kind of heavenly creatures. Okay, millions of them. We're going to continue, obviously, in the next study. Don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome. See you in the next study.